What's up, everybody? It's the Digital World Podcast. And this article is going to give you an insight into why I think that this whole COP26 is a Trojan horse. That people on the surface, when they hear of this, they're like, oh, this is really good. This is going to help us. Yeah, why wouldn't um, we be a part of this? Everyone's participating, right? Nope. Quite contrary. You just dig a little deeper. And they're telling you right in front of your face. I mean, it's not like it's hidden. Once you start seeing these interviews, you get a sense of what it's all about. And Al Gore has always been about climate change. He's always been about, oh, this is going to happen in the next so and so years. And here, since the UN has said, the climate is on red alert, look to what Al Gore is suggesting, right? And I'm telling you, you're starting to hear a lot of things come out of COP26. A lot of things about where they want this thing to go. And they're telling all the leaders what they should do. Check this out. In an interview, Gore declared that technology created by the so-called Climate Trace Coalition will monitor greenhouse gas emissions and root out the culprits. And you read that, you're like, oh, okay, sure, whatever that means. He says, we get data consistently from 300 existing satellites, more than 11,000 ground-based, air-based, sea-based sensors, multiple internet data streams, and using AI, he said. He said all that information is combined, visible light, infrared, all of the other information that is brought in, and we can now accurately determine where the greenhouse gas emissions are coming from. Now, when I read that, that was a red flag to me. Now I thought, geez, they want to monitor every single thing, and by him saying they can root out the culprits, it's like, well, I mean, what do you mean culprits? Are you talking about each individual person, or are you talking about factories or in industries that release gas emissions? And I was like, huh. I kept reading. He said, Gore in 2008 said there would be no polar ice caps left within 5 years. And he said, and next year, we'll have it down to the level of every single power plant, refinery, every large ship, every plane, every waste dump. And we'll have the identities of the people who are responsible for each of those greenhouse gas emission streams. And what will happen to these climate criminals, Al, is the question that the journalist wrote here. He said, if investors or governments or civil society activists want to hold them responsible, they will have the information upon which to base their action in holding them responsible. Oh my word. What Gore and his 300 satellites will find is that it is the elite super rich luxury class who are the world's largest polluters. Okay, and then it goes into the emissions per capita, etc., etc. But, I mean, that's scary, folks. Whoever wants to hold these people responsible for gas emissions, they will have the information upon which to base their action and hold them responsible. So, someone forbid you go riding your, motorcycle or your dirt bike. You'll get flagged. And they'll be able to trace it right back to you. And people who are coming after you will have the information at their disposal to hold you responsible because you went over your carbon limit. This is no joke. No joke. I think we're definitely heading towards a mass surveillance society. And that's a fact, Jack. Now, I want to show you this. South Africa power outages. Coal plants have problems. Take a listen.
Hey YouTube, this is Sun Purple One, and I appreciate one of the subscribers to the channel and one of your fellow viewers. He's actually in
Oh, sun double speed.
South Africa, and he's given me a lot of great information over a period of time. And today he contacted me and said that they're having problems with electricity. I would call it rolling blackouts. They call it load shedding. And it happens 3 times a day over in South Africa right now, and it will continue for many more days. Because there are some problems with their generating capacity for electricity. They have some problems with the coal plants. And they also stated that they have insufficient diesel for the other types of electricity generators. So they're having, I call rolling blackouts. And you have an extended period of time, a couple hours every day, 3 times a day, where there'll be no power. This is important. He also said that the businesses are suffering, people are suffering. And at one time they actually had, when they turned the power back on into an area, they had a huge demand which crashed the system. So they had to do a lot of repairs because of the startup of everyone trying to start up everything. So they have some problems with their coal-fired plants. I don't know if they have insufficient coal, but in one article they actually came out and said they have insufficient diesel. So that's hurting them generating power to make up for the coal. Also, he said that fuel prices are at the highest they've ever been, very, very expensive. So even individuals with generators are feeling it because they're paying a large amount. So I have a personal feeling, and I have I'm really taking steps forward to try to take me off the grid a little bit, not completely, but a little bit. So my goal for you today is you look around the world and you look at fuel shortages, coal shortages, generating problems, blackouts, and it's occurring everywhere. China's still having problems. Europe's had some problems. South Africa's having problems. We looked at Texas during that storm they had. So I'm urging you, look at what you need to do to keep some lights on, keep some refrigerators.
Okay. So that I just want to show you that short clip. So this is Prepper One, I believe his name is, his YouTube channel. Now he's talking about shortages in South Africa, power shortages or outages, and them having coal plant problems. And this is you're seeing it around, the world. And what he calls it, or what it's called, load shedding. And they're having serious issues. And when you start to see this take place around the world everywhere, and you see the agenda for this climate change, you see the green economy that Biden wants to usher in, folks, the crisis in a sense is being created. And a lot of people die from the cold. So in the coming winters, we'll see what happens this winter, but in the coming winters, in the next few years, this crisis will be more and more evident. Right now, it may not seem like anything because people aren't paying attention. But when the problem becomes a serious issue, that's when you gotta, it'll be too late at some point. And that's why I bring this information so you guys can stay ahead of the curve. But you see what's happening with COP26. They're telling all the leaders what they need to do. Whether that be germ games or whether that be, this green new economy, which is going to be a disaster. Start preparing ahead of time. Increments or gather, with a few people. Whatever you need to do. But this is serious. This is serious talk. So, do what you can for your family and everyone that's involved. So, I hope this episode has brought you some value. Like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. As always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is the Digital Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.